In this video, I'm going to be talking about why you need to accurately identify your biggest number one problem or challenge that you have right now in order to try to find the correct solution. What your problem is, what you think it is, might not actually be the root cause of the reason why things are not going the way that you want them to. So, if you've been trying to heal, rebuild, move forward from something that happened in your life, maybe you're feeling stuck, maybe you've been trying some things, but it haven't been working for you, or maybe you're asking other people for advice about things in your life, then you're definitely going to want to watch this video all the way to the end because I'm not only going to help you learn how to identify the root cause of all of your problems, but I'm also going to give you tips about how you can go about overcoming them. Hi, my name is Emmy. I'm a breakup and relationship coach, and I help women, men heal, rebuild, and move forward after a breakup, a divorce, or a toxic relationship, keeping them stuck. And I help them get inspired for their next chapter in life. So thanks so much for being here. In a recent video, I talked about the importance of correctly identifying a problem so that you can find the best solution or way to overcome it. And I compared it to feeling sick. So let's say you wake up tomorrow morning, which I hope that you don't, but let's say you wake up and your body is super achy. Maybe you have a headache, maybe you're getting hot flashes, and you're just like, what is going on? I don't feel good. I must have the flu. Maybe you've experienced these symptoms before, and that was the problem. And so you go ahead and you treat yourself for having the flu. However, maybe you find out later that you actually have a cavity that is infected and it's causing you to have flu-like symptoms. So can you see how we have two completely different causes of a problem and the solutions or the treatment for each of those are completely different? So we do this in our lives all the time as well. And so that's what I want to bring to your attention today in this video is that a lot of times we treat the symptom or we treat the wrong problem when in fact we have to be getting more clear. So when I say I see this playing out in life as well as inside of our bodies, what I mean is that sometimes there is an incident that happens and we think that that is the problem. Or there's maybe a person in our lives and we think that he or she is the problem. But when we dig in a little bit further, when we explore, we might realize that it's not the person that's the problem. It might actually be our inability to set clear, strong boundaries with someone, especially if we have to see them regularly. Another example is I hear this a lot. Some people say, like, oh, I don't know what it is, but I always end up dating a-holes. And maybe the real problem is that they haven't taken the time to clearly envision what an ideal relationship looks and feels like for them. And so they just keep saying yes to the wrong people. So today I'm going to walk you through some steps so we can accurately identify your problem and then we can figure out what the next steps can be to find a solution. So here we go. All right, step one. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. And these are the questions that I always ask people when I first meet with them. So when someone starts working with me, I always start the call with this first question, which is, here it is. Go get a journal, go get a pen and answer this question for yourself. Out of everything that you're struggling with right now, what would you say your number one struggle or challenge is? Now, this is the point where people usually just start talking and, saying all sorts of things for like 20 or 30 minutes, and they're just kind of dancing around what their core problem is with this long story of everything that's happening to them. And that makes it easy for us to understand that their lack of clarity is actually causing them a lot of confusion about what they should do next. And so it's my job to continue asking questions to help them understand the underlying root cause of their challenge. So usually this is like very, very customized, obviously, because people are telling me specific things. And, you and I right now are just kind of following a template. So if you want to put your, core problem in the chat, then I can see, what those are. But for now, you can still follow this template that I'm going to share with you right now. I also want to just emphasize how tremendously valuable it is to accurately identify your problem. I, do this first call for people complimentary just because I know that they can actually walk away with some clarity, even if working with me isn't the right answer for them. So that's what I'm kind of gifting to you right now. So let's go through these steps. And again, get your journal, get a piece of paper, and I'm going to give you 8 questions that I want you to bring yourself through. So I already asked you the first question. So if you didn't already answer it, do it now. Question number 1 is, out of everything that you're struggling with, what would you say is your number 1 challenge? Question number 2, what are the top 4 to 5 emotions that you are feeling because of this struggle? I want you to get really, really specific. Okay. This is where I usually have to dig a lot deeper with someone. I want you to take a look at the 4 to 5 things that you wrote down. And then I want you to ask yourself, what is causing you to feel each of these things? So, for example, maybe you put angry as one of your emotions. I get that one actually a lot, especially if someone has been betrayed or if they've spent a lot of time with that person and now they're angry because it's like I put in all this time, it's wasted. So, let's say anger is one of your emotions. Well, can you get more specific about the anger? It was really interesting. Brene Brown, who's a very popular researcher, you've probably heard of her for her famous TED Talk on vulnerability. She did a study where she surveyed, I think it was over 1,000 people, and she asked them to identify emotions. And an overwhelming percentage of them could only identify 3 emotions: angry, happy, and sad. There's like a range of so many more than that. And so what this tells us is that, we have to dig around a little bit. For example, anger might actually be that you felt insignificant when your partner betrayed you, or maybe you felt abandoned, or maybe there was a breach of trust. And so feeling those things. At first, you're angry. That's more of a surface emotion. But, we would treat anger differently than we would treat these other things. For example, if you said, oh, I'm feeling angry. And if I only took that at face value, then I might say, okay, angry. I know what to do with anger. You go outside and yell at the top of your lungs, let it out, release it, and then go and punch a pillow. Okay, that might work, but the root problem might actually be, like I said, you feel insignificant. So that treatment, that solution is now going to be different, right? We need to now work on your own self-worth and build you up in different ways. If the underlying emotion to anger was that you don't feel like you'll ever be able to trust again, right? A breach of trust, then those are going to be a set of skills and practices that we're going to have to cultivate that looks different from treating just anger. All of these things are to say, I want you to really dive in deep here and spend some time exploring each of the things that you wrote down to see if you can get a little bit more specific. So, question number 4 is, how long have you felt this way? This is bringing awareness to how long have you been dealing with this pain. Some people, maybe it's a few months. Some people have been dealing with it for years. They're like, oh, well, it got separated 2 years ago and I'm still feeling XYZ. Um, you know, you want to really highlight your pain because pain for humans is 10 times more motivating than desire or pleasure. And so the more you can kind of bring to light how much this problem is causing, struggle in your life, then it's going to make you more motivated to want to do something to change it. So these next series of questions kind of help you understand how much of a problem this is. Like, is it on a scale of 1 to 10? Is it a 1 where it's like not bothering you at all? Or is it a 10? It's like, I can't go another day living with this problem. Because chances are, if it's not like at an 8, 9, or a 10, you're probably not going to do anything about it. So, number 4 was, how long have you felt this way? Number 5, I want you to think about, how is this impacting your day-to-day life? Well, maybe you might come up with the idea that I can't focus at work because all I think about are these repeating thoughts in my head and I'm emotional, I have mood swings, I just can't focus. Maybe it's causing you to not be able to be present with your kids or your other friends or family members. Maybe it's actually harming your health. Maybe you're stressed out all the time and you've either gained 20 pounds or lost 20 pounds and not in a healthy way. So number 6 is, what is the cost if you don't do anything differently? What is the cost if nothing changes? This is to alert you to the fact that if you continue the way you've been going and you don't do something differently, what is that going to cost you? Well, maybe it will cost you more years of not being happy or enjoying your life. Maybe it will cost you years of opportunities of dating people because you didn't like fix that underlying problem of being able to trust. So there's a whole host of things that it could cause down the line. I want you to just sit and reflect about that. Okay. Now that we've gone through these 6 questions, question number 7 is more of like a statement. I want you to clearly state your problem as succinctly as possible. And I'm talking like 1 sentence, 2 sentences tops. This is going to actually help you develop the skill of identifying and expressing your thoughts, your feelings, your wishes, your desires. Okay. Now, you can use this skill for yourself in life, but it's also really, really helpful when you're trying to communicate to other people. So I first kind of realized how hard it is to succinctly state something when I was doing this coaching program to try to land a TEDx talk. And in the TEDx application, they ask you to state your big idea for your talk in 1 sentence or 1 to 2 sentences. Sometimes they even only gave you like 50 characters or 50 words or something. And, I had this like pages and pages of this talk and ideas, and I'm like, 1 sentence? Man, I mean, that was really, really hard. So if you're struggling with it, I totally get it. It's not an easy thing to do. But I do want you to try to do that as best you can for this question number 7. All right. So congratulations, you've made it through step 1, which is like identifying your problem more at its root. I hope that you do have a little bit more clarity or maybe some more insights to the initial thing that you started with. So step 2 is, how do we now identify a solution? So the question number 8 that I want you to ask yourself is, if this was an ideal world and you could feel however you wanted to feel as consistently as possible from day to day, what are 4 to 5 emotions that you would like to be feeling? Now, usually when I ask this question, people's responses are, uh, oh, that's a good question. I don't know. So one of the problems is that we focus so much of our energy on our problem, it doesn't really leave room for our brains to search for a solution in another place. And so I want you to really take some time to get clear about a vision for yourself. What would it look like if you were feeling the way you wanted to feel as consistently as possible? Get as specific as possible. And if you have words, like for example, most people will tell me that they want to feel happy, they want to feel loved, they want to feel confident. Happy and love they're great emotions, but that looks different to everybody. So what makes me happy is probably going to look really different from what makes you happy. What makes me feel loved is probably going to be really different from what makes you feel loved. So be very specific about what that looks like for you. And the reason why you want to do that is because after you have identified how you want to feel, we can start filling in the micro steps of how we can get you from your point A, your problem, to your desired point B. So looking at the list that you just wrote down for that last question that I asked you, I want you to start thinking of tangible actions that will help you feel more of those things. So, what will help you feel more loved? What will help you feel more happy? Now, these are things that you can do, that you can start introducing into your life. You're not relying on these things for other people from other people right now. It might look like, getting together with friends more. I mean, that's okay, but right now we're searching for things that you can do. So maybe, your task is like reach out to friends multiple times a week and make plans once a month, right? That's something that you can create for yourself. You want to just kind of start doing that as consistently as possible. Now, another way to think about a tangible action. So for every feeling that you wrote down, write down 1 to 3 tangible actions that you can take to help yourself feel that emotion. So, tangible actions might also look like you asking yourself, what do you need to start doing more of? What do you need to start doing less of or even stop doing? So, these are all things that you can be reflecting on in your journal. So, my next piece of advice is to just pick one thing out of everything that you just reflected on and pick one action and then implement it and be as consistent as possible with it. I do want to acknowledge that being consistent with helping yourself at this point in the game can be really, really challenging. I totally understand that when you feel depressed or sad, it's really hard to feel motivated to actually do anything. When you're feeling frustrated, maybe it's hard to stay open minded. When you're feeling lonely, you might feel like, what's the point? Because you've lost hope. Or when you have low self esteem, you might tend to self sabotage. So, this would be the point, if I was talking to someone, this would be the point where I would help them outline exactly what actions they can take and how we could accomplish them together if they were interested in working with me. If not, I would recommend that they choose one thing and try to implement it consistently. But as I said, consistency can be hard if you don't have anyone to hold you accountable or if you don't have anyone even just like for support. So, for these people, I offer them a safe space to be able to process what they're going through, share what they're going through, with someone who gets it because I've been through all that before as well. I have a lot of people tell me that, well, I have friends that I could talk to, but they're totally sick of hearing my same stories over and over again, and I don't want to bother them with it anymore. Or, maybe they have friends, but they know that, well, they have lives and stresses that they're trying to deal with too, so I don't want to overwhelm them with my own. I also have people tell me that, they've been talking to their therapist for months or years, but they don't seem to be making the progress that they really want to be making. And that's because they're not being recommended much of an action plan or they're not co-creating an action plan together because nothing is going to change if you just keep talking about your problem. You actually have to shift something. And I'm not saying that you haven't tried things, you've probably tried lots of things, but that's the whole point of this video is that maybe you haven't identified the root cause of your problem correctly yet, or accurately, I should say. I also have a lot of men tell me that this is the only space, like when we're working together, this is the only space that they have to be able to feel safe to reflect and be vulnerable and feel listened to. Because unfortunately, in our society, it's just not normalized for men to just talk about their emotions with their buddies. It's like conversations are, restricted for work, sports, and women. So, I really, really encourage you to find a mentor or a safe space where you can do this so that you can stay consistent. All right. So to recap, I led you through a whole bunch of questions to help you identify a little bit better what your core root problem or challenges are so that you can get a more aligned solution to enable to be able to overcome them. So I also have a free guide linked below that goes into depth about the top 3 reasons why women and men can't break free from unfulfilling or toxic relationships and how you can overcome those. And it's not only a free guide, there's also my relationship cheat sheet that I use with clients. This helps you get a really good idea of what your ideal relationship would look like and who you need to be in order to attract and create that. So again, my name is Emmy. It is my pleasure to believe in you and to also just kind of amplify your soul's desire. So if you found what I shared in this video valuable, please give it a thumbs up and definitely subscribe because you want to get notifications for new videos. And I'm also launching an interview portion of this L3 philosophy series. So I have a bunch of experts who are sharing their tips, their own personal experiences, and that's going to be coming out in January. I've already filmed a bunch of them and I love the topics and I think you will too. So definitely make sure you subscribe and check back in. You don't want to miss that and I will see you in the next video.